Welcome to another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. This podcast educates, ignites inspiration, fosters encouragement, and paves the way for growth among small businesses and the overall Oak Cliff community. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the Dallas Zoo, Home Care Network, and ServPro. We appreciate your support. Now, let's jump into things. Today's episode is titled Preparing to Build. Darren James with KAI Enterprises is a civically focused, community-centered architect who is passionate about underserved communities. He provides voice and agency to clients and neighbors while positively transforming their built environments with their input. Let's welcome Mr. Darren James. Good morning.
Good morning, Keandra.
That was formal.
You called me Mr. James. I'm thinking it.
That was really formal. Okay, so you are my friend. We don't have to be that formal.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I called you Keandra.
Wow, that caught me off guard.
Oh, okay, good. Good for a Friday morning.
I guess so. Wow. Okay, well, let me sit with my back up straight. Let me sit.
I'm relaxed.
Okay.
So let's be relaxed.
Okay,
right.
I appreciate that. So thank you for being here. That totally caught me off guard. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Okay.
That you are not aware of just yet because this is strictly business unscripted. So I'm going to get in your business a little bit,
Right.
Just a little bit. But we want to make sure that everybody knows you, knows who Darren James is. So first of all, you're an architect.
That's correct.
Why did you choose to do that?
I wanted to make a difference in the communities that my grandparents grew up in, my parents grew up in, the cities that I kind of lived in. Mm-hmm. I'm from St. Louis. And so I was actually playing with this toy called Plates and Girders when I was about 6. And I told my dad, I said, I want to build things. And he said, maybe you should consider being an architect where you actually get to design the things that are built. And so ever since I was 6, that's when I wanted to be an architect.
Really?
And so it's never deviated, never changed. And as I was going around the country, I got a chance to see other things and get inspired by other buildings as well as other environments. So I'm excited, I'm passionate about it, but it's one thing that every day is dynamic. There's something new, and so I love being an architect.
Really?
Been in this business over 30 years.
Darren, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone knowing what they wanted to be at the age of 6. That's crazy. So that's good.
Yeah.
You never wanted to be anything else, like an actor, a dancer,
Not a dancer.
Anything else?
I've acted. I've told a couple of jokes, but nothing in the entertainment space.
I don't know about your joke telling.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's why I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm not getting booed off the stage. Yeah. I've seen Apollo. That's not
right.
for me.
Well, okay. Well, then architect it is. Okay, so tell me a little bit about KAI and why you chose KAI in the process.
So KAI is the new acronym. It used to be called Kennedy Associates Incorporated. The founder of the company founded the firm in 1980. I was actually working in Kansas City right after graduating from the University of Kansas. So Rock Chalk Jayhawks. They're actually ranked number 22 in football. That's not normal. So we're excited. But I was working in Kansas City, and I got an opportunity to go back home to St. Louis. They were calling, looking for architects, and they recruited me. Mm-hmm. And so I went back, had a conversation with them. My wife was like, don't accept an offer until we come back and have a joint conversation. Mm-hmm. So I was able to have that conversation with her, and I accepted the offer to go work with them in 93.
Okay.
And been with them except for a 3-year stint when I first moved to Dallas.
Okay. So is there anything about KAI that says I would be with KAI over any other company any day? What is it about them? Because you're obviously very talented. You could go anywhere you wanted to be. Why them?
The ability to craft my own career, the ability to actually impact communities of primarily color. So we're an African-American owned firm, so I get to work in communities that look like where my family lives and where they've grown up and they live, work, play, and pray. then the just the ability to really impact communities at a level that's not just architectural. We actually go in and have conversations with people that reside, that are going to use our facilities. Um, that's kind of the gist of it. Is just we do our core value is, or our core mission is, transforming communities through integrated design and construction excellence. And what that means is we bring all of our skill sets. We have architects, we have engineers, we have program managers, and we have construction professionals. All of those individuals are under one roof, so they can have the ability to talk water cooler conversations, enhance their skill set, but also give different perspective to each of the professionals, because everybody speaks a little bit differently. We're all in the built environment, but we come at it from a different perspective. And to have that amalgamation of everybody under one roof allows us to do a better service to our clients as well as the people that we serve.
So this is a national company.
Yes.
Okay. And where are your offices located?
So we have three primary offices: Atlanta, DFW, and St. Louis, and then we have project offices in Indianapolis, Atlanta, and Kansas City.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so what's your actual role?
My role is I'm president of Enterprises, which is the umbrella organization for our four verticals. So architecture is a separate business unit, engineering is a separate business unit, our program management group and our build groups are all separate business units. I'm president of the corporate services. I'm responsible for sales and strategic growth
My God.
across all four business units in every geography that we touch.
So that's why you came in the suit and I'm dressed like I am, because we're acting our way. We're dressed.
You said strictly business. It is Friday. I could have come in jeans.
No, you're good. I mean, you came in suited and booted. That's why I understand.
We have flex hours. Today is a flex hour, so I got dressed up for this.
I appreciate that. Well, you look nice.
Thank you.
So if I were to shadow you, Darren.
Yes.
What does a day in the life of Darren James look like?
I was just talking to one of my VPs, and we were laughing. He said every day we come in, we have kind of it's not a script or not a preset schedule. We know what we're supposed to do that day, but we have to be flexible and dynamic and have the ability to pivot at a moment's notice. So I have meetings. And then I also have things that I have to do, but there's always a call or there's always something I have to do. I keep my door open so that my staff can come in and have conversations with me. Excuse me. What I tell them is, if the door is open, you guys are more than welcome to come in and sit down. Not everybody does it all the time, but I do have people that come in and sit down. My VP is in my office most of the time. My EA is in the office. My HR professionals, and then my studio lead for architecture, and then my director of engineering, my national director of engineering. They'll come by the office and we'll sit down and talk about things that they're looking for, issues that they're dealing with, and then how do we solve those and address those. Okay.
So being the president, you're no longer drawing.
No.
Right. Okay. So how long has it been since you've done anything like that?
Let's see.
Is that the wrong term? What am I supposed to call it?
That's good.
Is that right? You knew what I was talking about, right?
Designing.
Designing.
It's the same thing.
I'm sorry.
It's the same thing.
I'm not trying to be insulting.
No, it's not insulting. It's interchangeable, so it's not.
Okay.
That's not an issue.
Okay.
Let's see. The last thing I actually designed commercially was when I was university architect for Texas Women's University, and I did a couple of interior renovations, a children's library. I think that was the last major thing. What I do now is my teams bring me stuff, and I will critique and offer advice and suggestions on things that I've heard in the community or things I've heard from stakeholders, making sure that they incorporate those. It was to a point to where I was involved in all of the projects. Now we've got so many, I don't really get involved on a day-to-day basis like that.
Yeah.
So theoretically, probably 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm responsible. My role is basically be the ambassador of the organization and make sure that our clients are taken care of, our community is taken care of, and that my team has the things that they need, the resources they need.
Okay. So Darren, when you were designing 15 years ago, what was your absolute favorite type of thing to design?
Educational projects. I still love educational projects. My mom was an educator till she retired. Both my grandmothers, my dad's mom and my mom's mom, were educators.
Okay.
My mom has 5 sisters. Uh, 4 of those were educators. All of them are retired now. The two that weren't are actually, or the one that isn't, was in the educational space. So education is something I found out long ago. Like, I'm not a comedian. I didn't want to stand in front of a classroom all day long and teach. I've done junior achievement, and I recognize that 2 hours a day is 2 hours a day once a week was probably all I could deal
Oh
with.
my
But I
God.
love creating educational spaces and academic spaces. One of the last projects, the project that launched me into the business development, client relation, strategic growth, was a university center at the University of Missouri at St. Louis. It was kind of the last project. I was leading the effort as a project architect, and I was like, hey, I want to learn the business side. And that's kind of where I took this path to be on the business leadership and business ownership side.
Okay. So when you're designing, that's what you would prefer to design. As a company, KAI, what specialties does the organization have?
So we do aviation, healthcare, education, K-12 as well as higher education. Uh, we do multimodal, primarily transit, mass transit facilities, and then community and civic libraries, community centers, rec centers, and auditoriums, things like that. Things that impact. And in the past, we have done mixed income, multifamily communities, things like that.
So, Darren, you've done a lot of work in our community, and I know y'all do work on a national scale, but locally, what has been your favorite project and why?
I got a lot of favorites.
You do? Well,
Yeah.
tell me about a few of them.
South Oak Cliff, since we're in Oak Cliff, that's
South Oak Cliff, what? For people
South
that
Oak
don't know.
Cliff High School is SOC, Bear Nation is near and dear to my heart.
Okay. Why?
One, because we got a chance to sit down and talk to, they've got multiple alumni associations, they've got multiple parent-teacher associations. We got to talk to each individual. We had a variety of different conversations with them. And then to see how things that we did from a tangible perspective to enhance their environment, give them a presence on Marsalis, open up those courtyards so that the students could actually use it, and that the natural light started to filter into the school, repurpose the auditorium where the students actually started they were the catalyst for the redevelopment of that project or increasing that budget. And then just seeing the competition gymnasium, and then actually seeing the academic success. So they're a blend of traditional athletic prowess as well as academic success. They've got graduates that were the former chief of Dallas, police chief, an individual that was running up the engineering group for DART. We've got neurosurgeons that have graduated from that, Gates scholars. So academically, to celebrate and enhance that as much as their athletic kind of notoriety. And then the fact that their enrollment is gone and they've been recognized by TEA. Yeah. So just to see the impact. So when we talk about transforming communities, it's not the fact that we've got a built edifice that shows architecturally something. It's that the students actually get to use something. And then going back, we were walking through, talking to the students during the program, and we were showing them the designs and talking to them, getting their feedback. And two of the students said, you know what, we won't benefit personally from this, but I want to make sure that I have my input so the students that come behind me have something that's nice for them. And so to see them invest at that young age, because that's a multi-generational campus. So we were talking to grandfathers who actually still had grandkids in the school. So they graduated from SOC, and then their grandkids were going to SOC. So you see that multi-generational investment. So that's a favorite one. Reby Carey, which is a library name for the first African American educator for the University of Texas at Arlington. He was a stalwart in the Fort Worth community, taught a lot of students how to academically succeed, but also how to go about taking control of their professional as well as their academic careers and teaching them to read and holding them accountable for things. So that library was named after him, and it's the first youth library in North Texas. Dedicated, so you can't go into the stacks unless you're taking your children into the stacks. So it's dedicated just to youth.
Okay.
And what we found is, so you learn to read up until the third grade, and then from the third grade forward, you learn from reading. So if you get behind and know how to read by the time you get in the third grade, you're always going to be behind.
Oh, wow.
And then what we also found, and this is researchers across national research, is that students and kids learn best when a loved one teaches them. So if it's their mom and their dad reading to them, so that's why it's opened up. So moms and dads or older siblings can take their sons and daughters or their brothers and sisters into the stacks, get a book, and it's exploratory. And so it's interactive. We got an art piece that actually draws you out into an outdoor courtyard. So those are two of my favorites in this area. We've got many more. Highland Hills Library down on Bonneview, Billy Earl Day over by Fair Park. So I've got a lot of projects that I'm really proud of in this community.
So Darren, I've known you for a long time, probably 10-ish years maybe?
Yep.
Probably. And so I can tell when you're passionate about something because you're normally a man of few words.
Very.
Until you're passionate about
Right.
something. And so then it shows. And so being as passionate as you are about the work that your organization does for not only this community, but others, that comes with its fair share of challenges.
Correct.
And so we don't want you to name any names or any of that, but can you talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges you experienced being in this position, being a black man in this role in this city? Talk to us about some of your challenges.
I think the biggest thing, and there's a shift now. There's a couple of national organizations. So the American Institute of Architects and National Organization of Minority Architects have formed a partnership to kind of increase the representation of black professionals in the architectural space. So I'm a fellow in the American Institute of Architects, which is where you have to demonstrate commitment not only to the profession but to the community, and then you have to submit and be judged by your peers and to get elevated. Only 3% of the architects in history have ever been elevated to College of Fellows. You look at that, only 3% of that 3% have ever been African American. In the state of Texas, I'm only the 9th fellow ever that's African American. So the profession has traditionally been kind of a I don't want to say elitist, but it's kind of been a genteel profession that hasn't been open and embracing. Within the last 5 to 6 years, there's been an awareness of we are talented. There are individuals that manage successful businesses not only in DFW but across the country. But we need to open the avenues and doors so that other individuals that look like us, that are younger than us, that want to go into the profession aren't detracted or deterred from coming into the profession. So that's been a challenge, and that awareness is you're starting to see an awareness, and we're starting to see the pipeline is increasing. Like, I'm talking about just blacks in general. If you think about registered professional architects that are female, up until about 2 years ago, the number was 500 total.
In the nation?
In the nation. So I think the last number I saw was about 1,200.
Wow. Okay.
But just think about that. 2 or 3 years ago, it was only 500 in the history of the United States.
Wow.
That had to be that were African American female architects. And so those things inherently in business in general has been a close-knit relationship kind of driven endeavor. So to break those doors down and open doors to get opportunities has been probably the greatest challenge.
Yeah.
And then being recognized not because you just happen to be black, but because you do good work.
Right.
And so that you don't have an opportunity just because you participate in a program, but that you actually have delivered on something very successfully in this community.
Yeah. So with that being said, if there were just some brown person of color that was aspiring to be who you are, what you are, what advice would you have for them?
Seek out anybody that you know that's in the space, or reach out to our firm. I open my doors over the summer to sit down and have college and high school students come in and just see what a professional environment is.
Yeah.
When I got to college, the first thing I'm sitting there is like, I've known I want to be an architect since I was 6. My dad was in that space. Interestingly enough, I never sat down with any architects that happened to be in his office. And so when I get to class that first semester and I'm sitting there and it's like, yeah, I worked in my dad's office over the summer, or we traveled and we went to Italy. Well, I didn't have those resources and access. And so what I want to do is provide an avenue for people that, even if they don't know, like you don't know at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 what you want to be, but you're exploring things.
Yeah,
Come in,
sure.
sit down, have a conversation. And it's not just me talking to them. I've got younger individuals and professionals in my office so that I get kind of a closer peer age. And so I've had students that want to be engineers. I've had students that want to be an architect. I've had some that have decided that, I want to be an interior architect as opposed to an architect. I've had others that said, you know what, thank you for the opportunity, but this is just one path or step on my journey, and I want to do some other things. That's fine, but I still want to have that opportunity to explore those things.
Yeah.
The other thing I would do, and what I tell students all the time is, if you like sketching, continue to sketch, but start dating your sketches, so that you can see the evolution. The first time you pick up a pen or a pencil, it's not going to look like you think it looks.
Okay.
But if you keep doing it, you're going to get better, because all you're doing is training yourself to be better. But you got to document that so that you can see your progress. And then start to, as you drive down streets or you want to impact the community, there's so many things you can do as an architect, but there's so many other aspects of this community or this profession. Let's say you want to get into architecture, but you're not, you don't want to design, or you don't want to get into, the late nights. Become a developer or a finance individual that's providing funding for capital investment projects. There's so many ways you can touch this space. And Dallas is known for development. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Wow. That's great advice. Great advice. So, Darren, you are individually and professionally very community involved.
Yes.
And would you say that has had some sort of bearing, or has that helped you with growing and developing this organization, your company, KAI, because you're so involved? And then what couple questions, what kinds of organizations or volunteerism do you do that helps with that?
So it's authentic. I get it from both my grandfather, who was a scout leader. My dad was a scout leader as well, but he also became an elected official. He was a school board member. My brother was an elected official. My grandfather was also a lay leader in the Catholic Church. So I come by civic engagement. My uncle was involved. So I come by that authentically, and so I think that helps. And so this isn't like, hey, we're doing this because we want to attract a certain. It's built into the DNA. The founder of the company was impacting North St. Louis as well as the core of St. Louis. So this is something that we kind of grew up doing. It does help because there are individuals, especially now, people are purpose driven. You can't. Gone are the days when I'm getting up to go to work and I just want to work and I'm just People want to have a purpose in what they're doing. So the ability to impact, and so we attract a certain level of professional that really wants to impact the communities that they serve and that they live in. And it's helped. We've grown exponentially over the last couple of years because we really honed that message and been able to attract people that do that. And then the corollary to that is that they're investing their time doing the same thing, and we encourage them to do that. Get involved in your local church or your local nonprofits. The things I've been involved in are chambers of commerce, obviously, geographic chambers as well as ethnic chambers of commerce. I'm involved in my church, Concord Church. Been involved at Fair Park and the Citizens Council, and then currently I'm serving as the chair of the Texas Board of Architectural Examiners, which is the regulatory board for architects, landscape architects, and interior designers for the state of Texas. And as the chair of that board, we actually represent one of 55 jurisdictions across the country that regulate architects across the nation. So I serve on a couple of committees to, just advance the things that we need in Texas, but also make sure that our voice is heard.
Wow. That's a mouthful.
It's a lot.
Darren, you just make me tired. You just make me tired. You're doing so much. You exhaust me. So kudos to you.
Thank you
for all of your success, and I'm just happy to know you.
Appreciate that.
I love being. I'm fortunate because I get to be connected to smart people. So I just love it. So we've heard from Mr. Darren James with KAI Enterprises. He came by and visited with us dressed up, but he's always looking like that, y'all. Every time I see him, he looks like the way he's looking right now. But thank you so much for being here today on Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. And again, thank you for watching another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We'll see you next time.